Now, this signing makes a lot more sense than Alexander Isak. Hear me out. Liverpool just bought Ekatike for around 80-85 million, depending what currency you use. But Bradley Barcola, right, is a natural winger who won't be in the starting lineup for PSG week in, week out because you have Doué, Dembele, and Kivicha. So Bradley Barcola is the odd man out. Makes sense for him to want to pursue a starting role, which is more likely at Liverpool considering he'd be in competition with Gakpo. Because you've got Salah and Gakpo basically as the starters as of now with Ekatike, and they just sold Luis Diaz, so this is a prime opportunity. And if I'm Bradley Barcola, I am jumping on that opportunity right now if I were him. Now, Liverpool are making a concrete offer to sign Barcola from PSG. Now that's gonna be a great partner for Salah and some competition for Cody Gakpo here. So, as well as Liverpool have made Isak the priority, though. That's the one thing about it. So Liverpool basically had the opportunity to either get Alexander Isak or Barcola. They're taking Alexander Isak 100%. But if it's not possible and Newcastle don't sell Isak, then they're going to get Bradley Barcola instead. Now, this is what I call a situation in which you really like a girl, man. It's a 10 out of 10. But you've got that girl best friend as that fallback plan. At least you're going to get a little something, just in case if it doesn't work out with there, you've got that second option. Everybody's been there, man. So Alexander Isak here is the priority. Bradley Barcola is the just in case it don't work out, because Newcastle don't want to sell Alexander Isak if they can't get a replacement. It doesn't make sense because he's still under contract for a few more years. So they're not in a rush to sell him. The player only wants Liverpool. I feel like his agent kind of messed this up, considering that Liverpool and Arsenal were the two teams that I saw Isak possibly going to, and then they made that whole transfer request after they got their strikers in Gyökeres and Ekatike. So to me, it's complicated more because Benjamin Sesko has chosen Man United over Newcastle. Newcastle felt like if they can get Sesko, they'll sell Isak the next day. So it's getting a bit complicated there. So that's why Liverpool are more on, getting a fallback plan. That girl best friend that, is, that solid option, that second option. Not the first option, but a solid second option. It's that fallback. And that's Bradley Barcola here. I'm not sure how expensive he can be. I feel like PSG really can play with the transfer fee here. I'd say between 60 and 70 should be a fair price between both parties. But PSG don't really need to sell him because they don't need money. They're not, and they have him under contract for a few more years as well. So they don't necessarily need to get rid of him unless the player really pushes for it. They could ask for 100 million if they like, but I feel like 60, 70 million, considering he's young, considering he's talented, but he's not a starter, would be fair. And in as a third party here, but Liverpool, it's not Isak and Barcola. It's even with the sales of Nunez and Diaz. Chiesa might also leave, but he's still at the club. Liverpool's priority is still to bring Isak, even though they already have a striker. But they want Bradley Barcola as the, that's their number one winger option. But they dream of Isak, and it's way more advanced because they've been having talks with Newcastle for the past few weeks. And this is just a new backup. Because negotiations are probably stalling because Newcastle, like I said, a big thing for them is they need to find a replacement at the striker position or they just won't sell them. And Liverpool's probably looking like we can't sell Nunez and Diaz and only bring in Ekatike. We need one more attacker to replace one of the two. And Chiesa might even leave as well. So that really leaves room for, Liverpool to bring in another winger, another attacker, basically, because they've already lost two, potentially three attackers in the transfer window. But anyways, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Who would you rather see at the club, Isak or Barcola at Liverpool? Personally, after the purchase of Ekatike, it doesn't make sense to go after Isak. You already have a striker that you're investing over 80 million on. Might as well, make him a starter, make him a significant role, because that's insane to spend 200 million on two strikers and one's not even going to be starting. Instead, it's going to be a cheaper option with Barcola. and he's basically gonna be, potentially in the starting lineup week in, week out, depending if he can win his position. So Barcola makes the most sense, but obviously Isak is the better player. But anyways, thank you guys for watching.